Hey guys, this is Ethereum Apex, and I'm going to show you how I do the big feathery wings in my 3D rendered artwork. This video was a 30-day exclusive for my supporters on Subscribestar, so if you're subscribed to me there, you get to see it a month before anyone else. So check out my page and support me there so you'll get to see these tutorials the day they come out. Anyway, we're going to be starting off with this default Blender project, and we're going to be rendering in the Eevee renderer. I always use Eevee. I don't use cycles for anything. The only setting here that's important, once again, is you gotta have that set to strip, not strand. It's kind of backwards, but the strand setting for hair looks like strips in the actual render, and the strip setting looks like strands. I don't know why it's like that, but it's backwards, so you gotta have that set to strip. Everything else is up to your preference. If you want to make things look the way they look in my artwork, you can just copy these settings. I'm going to scroll and you can just like pause the video and see what I have here. Anything that's like minimized here isn't really important. You can use indirect lighting if you want, but I don't really use it for anything. Anyway, so the first thing that we need to do here is go into edit mode. We're going to be making the base kind of arm for the wing. Like that's going to be underneath all of the floof and the feathers. And I'm going to be deleting this bottom face here just so it's a little... just so it doesn't turn into a ball when I add the Subdivision Surface modifier. I'm going into Object up here and Shade Smooth, so that when it's subdivided you don't see a bunch of polygons. You just see a smooth object. So Subdivision Surface. And then over here I'm gonna turn it up to 4 iterations on Render and Viewport, so you kind of have this little gumdrop here. And at this point, I kind of recommend looking up diagrams of bird anatomy, just so you'd have an idea of how the arm is shaped and where the joints are and how they bend, just so you can make it look as accurate as possible. I'm also going to see if I can turn on that setting that shows where I'm clicking, what buttons I'm pressing, because I feel like that might be a little more helpful. You see. I don't even know where it is, or what it is. Well, I can't find it, and searching online was completely unhelpful because it pretty much just showed nothing but tutorials on how to select stuff, so I'm just going to have to keep saying what I'm doing, I guess. For this kind of modeling, you're pretty much just extruding from the Subdivision Modifier to kind of shape this down into... not entirely sure how I can describe it, but You'll see what happens when I start extruding things. It's a really handy way of modifying if you're not really a fan of sculpting, because it's a lot more precise and you can do a lot more things with it more easily. Sculpting is mainly more for like fine details rather than actual modeling. So when you extrude it, you can see that it I really don't know how to describe this. I'm very non-verbal with this kind of stuff, but you can kind of see what's going on here. I extruded it and added more geometry to work with, and then you can go into different kind of selection modes, like in vertex selection here. You can narrow it back down like this, or you can use Control R to add a loop here. So you can Alt click to select edge loops like that, and then shrink it down. You have that kind of deal. Same with the other side. You can pull it out like this, or you can add even more loops with Control R for even more control. The more faces or loops you have, the more the more boxy it'll get. But you also have more points to manipulate your new mesh and do whatever you need to do with it. Really, kind of endless possibilities here with this kind of modeling, but this is not what we want right now. We just need, for now, this. And I'm going to be doing this method of modeling to shape the arm that I want. So I'm going to extrude this. Right here we have the sort of the base joint where the arm comes out. And I'm going to be trying to shape it out into a big old arm that comes out like this. So you can have the wing there. And somehow that got a little bit smaller there, but okay. And then I'm going to be rotating by pressing R, and then you can press X, Y, or Z on your keyboard to lock it to a specific axis. So if you press R and then press X, you can rotate along the X axis, or if you press R and then Y, it locks to that one. And the same goes for if you're moving it or if you're scaling it. And then I could go into Edge Selection Tool and then Alt-click to select this loop here and kind of angle it like that so it's more in line. And I'm going to move this down and extrude it again. And kind of go, it's actually kind of janky there. I'm probably going to want to fix that. Make it more like that. And right now I'm just trying to create a rough shape, and then I can fine tune it later once it's all finished. I'm just going to fast forward through a lot of this just so I don't bore you guys with the absolute fun of making a mesh. Once again, if you're a supporter on Subscribestar, you'll be able to get this entire project file for you to have fun with and use in your own projects if you so choose. Yeah, little skinny, but that's not really all that important for it to be big. It also doesn't really need to be all that defined because it's going to be completely covered up with fur and feathers, so this should be good. This is more optimized for 2D renders. If you want to animate it, you'll want to probably model your wing in a neutral pose and then create the joints with rigging. So you would want to go into add and then, where is it? Add armature. Yeah, it's hidden right now inside the mesh because it's by default the in front setting is turned off. And then you'll have this little bone here that you can work with. And then you can extrude that and rig it to your heart's content and then animate it like that. But this is a still. This is for like still images. I can probably do a separate thing for how to rig and animate stuff, but I'm not the best at that because I don't usually do that. Anyway, so we got this base here, and then actually I'm gonna set up the camera real quick. In order to move the camera, I'm just gonna go in. If you don't have this open already, you can press N, and then go into the View tab, and then lock camera to view. This will let you move the camera around just by panning around in the viewport. And we can just, I don't know, do it like that. An angle that looks good to show off this wing here. So yeah, that looks good. So I'll go ahead and you want to apply the modifier, the subdivision modifier first, because otherwise if you add the fur as is, it'll look really chunky and segmented because it's extruding, it's placing the fur along these boxes here rather than along the new polygons that you have going on here. You know, actually, it might be better for me to add more loops because these are really elongated. So I'm actually going to back out of that, and then hopefully this doesn't mess anything up too much. Oh, and also over here, just so you can see how it looks without all of the overlays and the highlights and stuff, you can go up here to where it says show overlays, these two circles, and then click that and you'll see like that, which is actually pretty helpful for me right now because adding in these extra loops kind of janked up my wing here, made it more lumpy. That should be good though. Okay, yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, so we don't need to worry about vertex groups here because we want the fur to come out everywhere. But first off, I'm going to add in the materials. So I'm actually going to import some materials that are a skin material that I've already created, and then mess with that. And then I'm going to create a new hair material, and you're going to be able to see me do that, so you can use that for your own projects. So yep, this is my skin material. I'm going to need to, and then I can turn on rendered mode up here, viewport shading, Right now it looks like crap because it's all the default settings. I don't really have a scene color set up. We could probably do like, I don't know, bluish. And then make it transparent. Just so it's easier to see this part. Actually, yeah, we'll leave it like that for now, and then I'm gonna turn this into a sun. And then flip it around so that's a little bit more visible. And then I can always change that if it ends up not looking very good. So we got that. Close that. Alright. So for reference, this is the skin material that I'm going to be using. I'm probably not going to include any of this because that doesn't matter. So I'm going to get rid of that. Also don't need that. That's for like pony characters. So it's pretty much just this. This is my skin material. So this is for like if you want to add shading or something like that, you can use the vertex color here. You add a vertex color here, and then you go into, where'd it go? Vertex paint mode. And then you go into tool here with the N menu. Go into the color picker here and make it black so that when you color on here, it'll appear darker on those spots because it's switching over to show this darker shader here. But we don't need that. So close that out. And then you can copy that if you feel like it, as long as it's close enough to see it. I don't know how it's going to look in the rendering. I'm going to add a new material slot here with the plus sign. New. And call this, I don't know, fur. Doesn't really matter. So we're going to start with a principled BSDF shader and then add in, where is it? Translucent. And then mix shader. Set that to 0.2. Drag that into there. And then make this whatever color you feel like. As long as these are both the same color. With some colors, this translucent one might look better if it's less saturated. And then we're going to drag metallic up to about half, roughness about half, transmission to 0.7. All right. Sometimes with like if you want like white fur, you might want to turn the emission up a little bit, just so it looks nice and bright, but not like really high unless you want like glowing hair. Okay. Anyways, so that's done. We're gonna add the wing fur. Just title that wing fur. Capitalized because that definitely matters. Okay, so I switch that over to hair. Turn the length down to about like that. It's about around, I think it'll depend on how big the mesh is, but it should be good around 1 meter. Keep number at 1,000. Render. Set the material to your fur material. Right now it should look like about the same. Click on B-spline. You want to click on B-spline because it'll automatically correct any kind of rough curves, so it's all nice and smooth. Then we're going to set the steps to 5 because it's not very long, so it doesn't really need a lot of steps. Viewport display, same, 5. Hair shape, it's kind of thick as is, so we're going to change that to 0.25, the diameter root. Keep all that the same. And then you don't need anything else here. We don't need field weights, don't need force field settings. Oh, if your scene has any kind of force field or physics object and you don't want it to affect the hair, just go into field weights, all, and turn that down to 0, because then it won't be influenced by anything, any of this. Okay, children. Click on interpolated. And then we're going to probably turn that up to 100. And that might be a little too much. Maybe 50. That should be fine. We can always add more. And then clumping. We want to turn this all the way up to that. So you end up with this kind of thing. It'll look better once it's all brushed. We can probably turn, I want to see how this looks if I turn the length down a bit. Oh, that's nice. Turn the length down maybe to like 0.8, 0.9. So you should have something like this. And then, yeah. It's actually kind of looking kind of sparse right there. I could probably also add a few more children, so maybe like 80. Okay, so yeah, I think that's all we need for the time being. So I'm going to go into particle edit here. I'm going to go into, to tool, I think, yeah. Tool, options, show children, because that's important. Path steps to 5. And then I'm going to turn up the brush size to like 100. And then, because it's looking really sparse in a lot of places, I'm actually going to switch over to, where is it, the add tool. Click on interpolate. Probably don't really need to turn the radius up. And then I'm just going to add more, see if that works. If not, I might need to fix something here. So we're just going to go ahead and try brushing it and see how it looks. I'm going to switch over to this selection mode up here, point select mode. And then from here you kind of just brush it to your liking. It's a very, oh, that's not good. It's a very artistic process. You kind of just have to have an eye for it. If it's getting too close to the mesh, you can go up here and click on deflect emitter. That'll keep it from colliding into the mesh it's coming out of. And then this will be the distance for when it takes effect. I'm going to start like that and then kind of like floof it up a little bit. And bring it up. I don't know. Just whatever. Whatever looks good. It really doesn't have to be perfect. So that's looking decent so far. I also want to adjust the length of the fluff in areas. It's looking really sparse. So I'm just going to fill in these spots with more hair with the add tool. Because we don't want any bald spots. Whoa, that's a lot. That should be good. And we can brush that. And now I want to adjust the length of the hair so it kind of goes out more. So I'm going to go into the length tool, make sure it's on grow, set brush size to whatever, and then kind of just go through and make it a little bit longer, especially as it goes out further here, and then comb it out. You know, it might be better actually for me to change this curve here, so I might go into the mesh and change that. So I'm probably going to close out of here, go into edit mode, and I'm going to do this with proportional editing. So I'm going to go up here where this target kind of symbol is, and then click on that, and then alt click to select an edge loop or a face loop or whatever loop. That's good. And then when I click and drag, you'll see this circle pop up. You can use the mouse wheel to adjust that. I'm going to see if I can bring this down like this without messing anything up or making it look kind of weird. Because I think that might look a little bit better. And if not, then I'll just switch it back. Oh, that's a lot better actually, in my opinion. That looks kind of cool. And then I can fix that in particle editing. I'm also going to turn off deflect emitter so you don't end up with this kind of branching out towards the edge here. Because right now it's kind of being blocked from coming out smoothly. And cover up that bald spot because nobody likes a balding spot. except in this case where it won't even do it. All right. You know what else I could probably do is actually just make this transparent so you just see the hair and you don't see this part. So what I actually do here is change this to a different material. I'm going to duplicate and save this with this button here, new material, to the 2 pages, and then click on the shield to save it. And I'm going to make this transparent, so I don't need any of this gobbledygook. I just need transparent BSDF. Drag that in, and then in here in the material settings, you're going to turn on backface culling so it doesn't show the back when it goes to transparent. Don't need a shadow, so I'm going to turn that off, and then change it to alpha blend. Show backface turned off, and then where did it go? It's gone. So now all you have is this pile of hair that you can work with. All right, that looks good. Could probably add a little bit more here. So now that that's done, the next step here, I actually turn that off, is to create the feathers and then add that in to the wing. You're going to use the feather. That's way too many feathers. So we're going to go back here, like behind the camera somewhere, and we're going to add a cube. You could probably name that feather. And then we're going to stretch that out to a big long stick. So S and Y to lock it to the y-axis, and then you can just use S to scale. Make it a big long stick like that. Okay. Shade smooth. Now we're going to go into edit mode with tab, or you can go here. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. I might have forgotten to. And then we're going to use Control R to loop cut, and then we're going to use the mouse wheel to add all these cuts here. Kind of just bring it up till it's like a square, like cubes, and then double click to finalize that. And then we're going to add a subdivision surface. Don't make it like super detailed because you're going to have like 100 of these. So you probably just do like 2. All right. Then we're gonna loop select with Alt click in the face selection mode, like that, and then Shift S, cursor to selected. Go out of edit mode, object, set origin to 3D cursor. That's important because that's like the base of the feather, and that's where it's supposed to come out. So okay, and then select this end with proportional editing turned on. S, expand it out like that. That's just to taper it, so it's not the same size the entire way. Then we're probably gonna have to move the origin again. You could probably do that. I think there's actually a hotkey for that, but I'm not entirely sure what it is, so I just do it like that. I think it's... I'm not sure. Okay, so apply subdivision. And then we're going to use the same skin material that we have for the base material. And then we're going to add the fur material, but we're going to duplicate it because it's going to have to look a little bit different. And then we're just going to have this rod. And we're going to add an array modifier. Kind of set the offset, relative offset. You don't need to worry about any of these other things. Set it about like that. And then you can change the count to however many feathers you need. And then we're going to go into add curve and add a path. I'm going to scale that up. And here we're going to add a curve modifier. And then we're going to set it to the NURBS path here that we just added. Turn that up a bit. Oops, that's a little too many. Then we're going to select both of these things to make sure we're on global orientation, not local or any of the other stuff, because otherwise they'll fly off in random directions. Scale that to the size needed. kind of get it into place. Oops. Doesn't need to be perfect because we're going to be editing the path to make it better. And we actually want to flip this around because you want the end of it here to be going outwards away from the wing here. Okay. And now we're going to select just the path here and then go into edit mode. And shape it. Turn off proportional editing. Shape it. Shape it. And if you need to add more points in between, just go to segments and then subdivide. Now we're going to go into the curve settings because it's kind of messed up right now. We're going to go to active spline and we're going to change the order here down to something that actually fits the curve there. It's still looking kind of bad, but it can be fixed a little bit after. Yeah, so actually I'm going to delete this because we kind of want it to just like not really come out in this direction, but just come out a little bit more smoothly. So kind of have it coming out like that. And then here, ugh. What I'm not liking is that there's hardly any over here. I don't know if I can fix that or not. So kind of like something like that. And I'm going to turn this down because I don't need... Actually, I'm going to change the offset so we have more feathers here. Okay, and then turn that down to like that. I don't know if this will work or not, but it might. I'm probably gonna add a few more rows of feathers here to kind of cover that up and also make it look a little bit more, detailed. And then we're also gonna have 3 tiers of these feathers. Right now it doesn't look like much, but that's where the next step comes in. We're going to change its shape with a lattice tool. This is basically, you go to add, you go to lattice, and this is basically a cage, a kind of editing cage that you can use to tweak the overall shape of the model that you have. So get it so it completely encompasses the mesh. Then we're going to add some more points here. So go into lattice tab and then change the resolution. We're going to have something like that. So turn these up a bit. And then we're going to go here back to these rods, and we're going to go and add a lattice modifier and then set it to the lattice that we just added. And now we're just going to shape this more into a wing shape. So you just go to edit mode, and you can select these points and you can use them to shape your wing. And if you need to add more points, you can always do that. Okay. So now we're going to have 3 layers of wings here, and then we're also going to have a little teeny set of layers here. We actually probably could get away with just 2 layers for that. So I'm actually going to select the rods here. I'm going to select the path, and then duplicate that. Maybe move it. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Move it just a little bit so they're more easy to select, and then I'm going to select the path. I'm going to select all of them with A. Then we go to Item tab in the end menu, mean tilt, and then kind of move these so they're out of the way there. And then I'm going to go into, I'm going to select the rods there, the second set of rods. I'm going to go to the array and change the relative offset to just so they're a little bit different there. I might also change their shape just to something a little bit more dynamic. So I'm going to duplicate this lattice and then change it to that so I can change this further. It's okay. Go back to the rods, change the lattice down to lattice 1. Select lattice 1, and I'm going to just see if I can get anything decent looking with these. We'll see how that looks. You can always change it to the other lattice if it ends up being kind of bad. So once we're sure we have the number of the wing feather thingies that we want, we can always apply the array. Then we can go in and add the feather hair stuff. So you should have the skin and the fur from the feather that we created earlier. Add particle settings, feather, and choose the feathers that we made earlier. But we're probably going to want it to increase the number of parent particles by a lot, otherwise it's going to be pretty thin. So maybe turn that up to 1,000, or maybe like 2,000. Yeah. Okay, so same as before, we're going to go into, oh, actually turn this down. Okay, so we're going to want to go into a particle edit, and we're going to comey to one side. Maybe kind of do it at an angle, otherwise it'll clip into the other. Oh, that's very long. I probably should have changed that. Actually, for here it's fine, but down there it's kind of longish. It's also still kind of looking a bit sparse. So what I'm probably going to want to do here is change the length of the hair gradually by using the length tool. So I'm going to go here and then shrink and just bring that the heck down, because that's way too short or long, you know what I mean. And then just paint, well, brush all that. It's still looking kind of sparse in terms of hairs, but we can fix that later. Okay, so I'm actually going to go back out of here. Oh, there's another thing I noticed. There's more hair down here than up here. And I also, oopsie. Yeah, there definitely is more down there than up here, but that should be fine. Not sure why that is. It could be because there are more loops down here than up here. I think that's actually why. I think that's actually exactly why. Yeah, they're more dense. Oh, right, add the next one. Actually, we don't need to do that. And then where is it? This one, I think. Yeah. Or actually, I could probably just use this one and then copy it. And then same thing, brushy, brushy, brushy. Kind of want to do this at an angle just so it doesn't, like I said, just so it doesn't clip into itself. Alright. So let's see how that looks so far. Oh. Not too shabby. I wonder what happened if I put a light behind it. That's pretty cool. I can probably change the sun a bit too. It's a little too perfect though, isn't it? Could probably add like a kink or something. Like a wave. Yeah, just something like that to make it a little bit more dynamic, I guess. Okay. So I got that. And we're just going to do the same thing for the other set. And the reason why I'm getting quieter is because this is tiring. Oh shoot, I didn't apply this. There we go. Comey, 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 brushy, brushy, brushy. Next set of feathers. There. All done. All donezo. How's that look? Not too shabby, but we still have this part right here that looks kind of weird, so we're going to add some teeny feathers there. Could probably also do some changes to the overall shape of this because it's looking kind of boxy. So I'm going to add another lattice here. That works. I'm going to use this to change the whole shape of the entire wing. Make sure all the modifiers are added before the hair as well. So lattice 2. Lattice 2. Lattice 2. I'm just going to see what I can do with this. That should be good. You don't need to have all these lattices visible, so do that. I probably also should move the camera out a bit. Alright, and then I might also want to change the length of the here. So grow. It may just make all this a little bit longer. Hey guys, it's the next day. Yep. I was getting super tired yesterday. I was almost about to fall asleep, as you could probably tell by my slowly draining enthusiasm over the course of that video. So I decided to drop it for the time and just pick it up again later. So basically here, I'm just doing the exact same thing I did to make these other sets of feathers here, the bigger ones, except this time I'm making them smaller to fill in the empty space and make it look a little bit more interesting and less weird. Time lapse, go! That's looking good so far. I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this whole thing here with the path and the lattice, and then reshape it to create another layer of feathers. You can also go into edit mode and delete any feather rod doodads that you don't want to fit in if you end up doing it this way. I think that's about done. A nice big fluffy angelic wing. A bit of a complicated one, but I think a lot of people have been curious about how I do these. If you have any questions, let me know. I probably glossed over a lot of things without knowing, as always. Anyway, that's it for now. Look forward to more tutorials in the future. I'll probably be doing a video where I try to create a 3D model of a wolf, so there's that to look forward to. Anyway, that's all for now. Bye. Thank you so much for watching this latest tutorial video. Special thanks to my supporters on Subscribestar shown here, and a special shout out to Frosku for your support as a gold tier subscriber. If you would like to support me as a creator and keep me going, head on over to my Subscribestar page. Subscribers get access to a host of rewards, including special shoutouts in my videos, early access to new content, multi-track and lossless files, and free art and music commissions. For more information or to subscribe to me, check out the link below. Thanks for watching.